ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, good morning. This is Arlene and you are with me at the ASEAN Daily, where we bring you news from Southeast Asia every day from Monday to Friday. So today I am going to start off with our news updates from Singapore. As we all know, Singapore is having its GE 2015, and of course a lot of things is happening right now in terms of the preparation from all political parties as well as from the media. We start off with the news of the GE 2015 10 rallies on Monday, September 7, including a lunchtime at Raffles Place. The PAP will hold 3 rallies and SDP will hold 2, including the noon one besides UOB Plaza. The WP, NSP and PPP, Sing First and SDA will also hold their own respective rally. September 7 means today that they will be having the rally. And there will be 10 general elections rally, including a lunchtime rally of the Hustling held by the Singapore Democratic Party. It will hold a rally at 9, while the PAP will hold 3 rallies all at 7 p.m. in the evening, while the Workers' Party, National Solidarity Party, People's Power Party, Singaporeans First and Singapore Democratic Alliance will also hold their respective rallies at 7 p.m. This is according to the police. While on the other hand, besides rallies, there is a comment by the WP party that her name is Sylvia Lim. She said that as a party can take over if PAP fails, the Singaporeans, this is according to the Workers' Party chairman, safeguarding have to be built in when things are stable. It is too late to do anything when things go wrong. And according to the Workers' Party chairman, Sylvia Lim, he called on voters to protect the future by building another party who can take over if the ruling PAP Action Party fails. This is perhaps her call for a two-party system. For so long, the PAP has been in control of the Singapore's general election by winning the majority of the seats. The election campaign has since party trade arguments about whether a strong opposition was needed in the parliament. And at the Workers' Party rally on Sunday yesterday, Ms. Lim put up her party, which has maintained that it is not yet ready to form the government as an insurance policy for Singaporeans. She further added that what would happen if future leaders of PAP turn out to be corrupt and self-serving, which is what Singaporeans are not known about. Singapore has long been known for its meritocracy system and also its corrupt-free nation. Of course, this is the things that would turn off Singaporeans, regardless from which party the person might come from. And she further said that the only way Singaporeans can protect their future is to buy an insurance policy, build up another party to take over if PAP fails, a stronger opposition as well as a two-party system in this case. Safeguards have to be built when things are stable. It is too late to do anything when things go wrong in the future. She was speaking at the party's rally for East Coast Group Representative Constituency, where the Workers' Party is fielding its B team against the PAP incumbents in a closely watched contest. She called on voters to help reinforce and renew the ranks of the Workers' Party in the Parliament by supporting its relatively young team comprising of Gerard Jayamp, Leon Pereira, Muhammad Fairoz Sharif and Daniel Goh, who are between 36 and 44 years of age. She noted that she herself is 50 this year, and Secretary General Low Thia Khiang is even older. He is 58. Both are part of the Workers' Party incumbent A team in Al-Junaid GRC. We need young people to come in, learn and take over. She reminded voters that even if all 28 workers' parties contesting the general elections are elected into parliament, they would only amount to 31% of the House, avoiding any political gridlock. Nevertheless, Emeritus Senior Minister Goh Chok Tong has tried to scare voters off into thinking Singapore will be unstable if more opposition MPs are voted in. But this has not been true of some countries. This is what Sylvia Lim has added into her conversation with her voters. And New Zealand, for example, has a population similar in size with Singapore, and it has challenges too of being isolated in the South Pacific. Its parliament, nevertheless, has members from a range of parties. Does anyone think of New Zealand as being unstable? That's true in a way. She does make an interesting point on that. Well, she also said that the PAP has got it wrong with diverse political representation. Singapore will not be weaker. It will be stronger. And for Mr. Low in his speech, that the Workers' Party believes it is most important for the next step of Singapore to be Singapore of balanced representation. So this, according to him, is the next level of what Singapore would be in the future, which is no longer about a stronger PAP, but about a political system that is diversely represented by many parties, many groups of people and all. PAP's method of policy making and governance has worked for Singapore's rapid development, but it will undermine the future of sustainability of Singapore. And this is, of course, according to what the Workers' Party said. While the Malay representative for the Al-Junaid GRC, Mr. Fairuz, spoke up for more support for adult learners like his wife, who had to juggle work, studies and pregnancy to take her nursing degree. The Workers' Party has proposed that workers who have worked at least 6 months with a company be able to request for flex work arrangement. And to add more, Mr. Pereira cited the party's proposal for public consultation select committee and standing select committee in parliament to debate bills before they become law. This is definitely a welcoming proposal by the Workers' Party. Even for me myself, I do believe this is a good suggestion, not just for Singapore, even for Malaysia in this case. To further add to the drama of the election is there are several websites that will cater to live streams of all the rallies for Singapore's general elections, so you Singaporeans can make better decision of what kind of government that you want for Singapore, for Singapore as a nation. And for those who plan to vote for this general election, of course, it's important to vote smart. That means doing more research about the candidates that is running your GRC and digging deeper what shows on social media. Whatever they say, whatever they do, it will be online. And there's online media that actually caters to that. And you can go to sgelectionrally2015.com. It will be streaming these videos online, so Singaporeans can judge all candidates for themselves. And they claim to not have any political affiliation, which is a great thing. And what I like about this website is, personally, is the fact that you can judge the person individually rather than based on political parties. Political parties, they have their own idealism, which is great, which is a great platform for people to vote based on ideology, but also it is important to vote based on individuals. Different individuals will be representing your needs, your GRC, and it's important for people to ensure that the person that you are going to vote in to the parliament are people that are smart enough and good enough to represent your GRC and hopefully for the nation as a whole. And kudos to the website for, being able to create more democratic platform for people to vote smart. Anyway, we'll take one short break. When we return, we will talk more on the political side of Southeast Asia, where we deal more with Thailand, Singapore, and Cambodia.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, return back to Arlene at ASEAN Daily. Today we are going to talk about the political side of Southeast Asia. Earlier on I did share a lot on Singapore's upcoming general election, but around the corner there is also having an election is of course Myanmar, and a lot of things is happening right now. One of the things that is happening is Aung San Suu Kyi campaigning all over the country, and this time she said that the rebel groups shouldn't rush the peace deal. This is according to the Myanmar opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi over the weekend appeal to ethnic rebel groups in nationwide ceasefire talks with the government not to rush the deal but work slowly on an agreement that would ensure long-lasting peace. And this is definitely one of the area that Aung San Suu Kyi is working on, is to ensure that there's unity in the country. And for so long, ethnic groups in Myanmar has been ethnic rebel groups has been fighting with the central government on ensuring that their rights are being met. And for Aung San Suu Kyi, what she hopes is there is more ceasefire talks rather than more war. And what she's appealing to the ethnic rebel in a nationwide ceasefire talks with the government is not to rush the deal, but work slowly, find the differences and try to work on it one by one, rather than try to push for it or try to threaten the government to sign the deal or to get the deal as soon as possible. This is because she wants to ensure long-lasting peace and stability. Her comment came ahead of a meeting between Myanmar President Thein Sein and ethnic rebel groups on last Wednesday in the capital Naypyidaw to discuss a draft of the long-discussed ceasefire proposal. And clinching the deal with most of Myanmar's rebel groups would be a political win for Thein Sein, who made it his top priority, boasting the chances of his ruling Union Solidarity and Development Party in the November 8th general election. And it is ceasefire agreement is the real agreement to stop fighting. If is that what they want, she wished to accomplish is to I wanted to accomplish it as soon as possible. That's what she said. But it has to be done real and truthfully. And touring Shan State ahead of the Tuesday kick-off of the election campaign, Suu Kyi also told farmers, students and shop owners that all rebel groups should be included in an accord to end hostilities between the Myanmar army and the many factions that have taken up arms since independence in 1948. Residents of Hin Sheng and Hopon, two remote towns, braved the scorching sun on Saturday and Sunday to greet Suu Kyi with flags and banners supporting her National League for Democracy, widely expected to win the historic election. On the other hand, Hardline monks claim victory as Myanmar Muslims face full exclusion. This is such a sad news because thousands of Rohingya in Myanmar are unlikely to be voting in the November 8 election after the government revoked their temporary identification documents, seemingly after being pressured by the country's most notorious Buddhist monks. Unfortunately, even with a smile, most of Myanmar's notorious Buddhist monks boast of the sleepless night as the people in Rohingya endure the quest against the country's monks, and what we are seeing in right now is anti-Muslim campaigns, especially by the likes of Wiratu, a monk that is really against the Rohingya Muslim in Myanmar, and tensions is definitely rising in the Buddhist majority nation of Myanmar. And what we are seeing right now is the rise of extremist monks. For example, Wiratu has a post message that with 91,000 Facebook followers helping foment the idea that Buddhism is under threat by Muslims. And what we are seeing right now, that Myanmar Muslims, who make up at least 5% or only 5% of the 51 million population, have a long history of involvement in public life, but they have faced increasing marginalizations under the current quasi-civilian government that replaced the junta rule in 2011. And more anti-Muslim violence that is happening with monks trying to stir up all the tension. People like Wiratu has a huge followers, and they, not just that, whatever he say, people will just follow, and this is really hard when religion is being pushed into the political realm of society. On the other hand, talking about politics, new Thailand constitution shut down, spelling prolonged military rule, and we are seeing that Thailand's junta-appointed Reform Council voted to reject a controversial new constitution, a result that will prolong military rule and push back an election to April 2017 at the earliest. And political parties nevertheless cheer the decision of the National Reform Council to dismiss the draft charter, having seen it as an affront to democracy on various grounds, including a provision that potentially allowed general elections to intervene in a crisis, and has been passed. It stood to become Thailand's 20th constitution in 83 years. The whole process of writing constitution must now start from scratch, and the earliest an election could be held would be April 2017, delaying a return to the junta long promise of true democracy. And the charter was given a thumbs down, thank goodness, by the 135 NRC members and approved by 105 members, short of the 124 needed to pass and go to a referendum in early June. The election has been slated for the second half of next year. And so far things are going well when it comes to not passing the new constitution, but we never know. Anything can happen in Thailand right now, especially with a military junta government. And Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, he said in a televised address that the rejection of the constitution for being undemocratic would be unfair for the people. So a lot of propaganda is going on right now. So talking about propaganda, Australia's controversial 55 million deal that placed Refugee in the hands of Cambodia is definitely firing back to them really badly. One of 4 refugees sent to Cambodia in a $55 million deal with Australia only 3 months ago wants to quit the impoverished nation. 3 others, an Iranian couple and an Iranian man, have also complained about their lives in the capital Phnom Penh. A 24-year-old ethnic Rohingya man from Myanmar has told Cambodian officials he wants to return to his homeland. And you know, nothing great is happening right now in Rakhine State. And the decision is a blow to attempts by Australian immigration officials to convince hundreds of other refugees in the tiny Pacific island of Nauru that Cambodia is a promised land of opportunity with mosques, jobs, football and martial arts, no violent crimes or even stray dogs. Jan Ratuil, Sydney-based director of the Australian advocacy group Refugee Action Coalition, said that the 4 refugees agreed to give up their hopes of reaching Australia and take a one-way ticket to Cambodia in the belief they would receive lump sum payment in excess of $10,000 US. They all went with the idea that they would get the money that they were being told that they would get and be able to go to somewhere else. But the government has dribbled the money to them. They've been kept in a very isolated arrangement and there has been no prospect for them, unfortunately. And they complained bitterly that they were struggling to survive in Cambodia. The whole resettlement arrangement is going belly up. The refugee agency sources in Phnom Penh confirmed to Fairfax Media that the 4 refugees have been unhappy despite living in an Australian paid luxury villa and being promised training, helping finding work, language tuition, health insurance and other benefits. The movements are restricted and they want to live the way they were promised that would be allowed, but unfortunately they are living in a golden cage. Australia has spent a staggering $15 million to resettle the 4 on top of $40 million in the addition development aid the Abbott government gave the regime of strongman Hun Sen for signing the controversial agreement at a champagne sipping ceremony last year. Maybe what they should have done is to resettle them back in Australia. I mean, if you're going to spend a lot of money to resettle refugees, might as well resettle in your own country. Make sure that you train them well and make them be able to adapt to the Australian weather as well as the whole culture there. So yeah, maybe the Australian government should think about it. On the other hand, Indonesia, talking about Indonesia, well, they do have a new person besides Obama that they look up to. Unfortunately, it's Donald Trump. And of course, it's not the whole of Indonesia, but Indonesian Speaker of the House, Setia Novanto, a buffalo green plastered on his face, appeared alongside with Donald Trump at a press conference in New York City Trump Tower on Thursday, showing that he is supporting Trump's idea of let's make this time Indonesia great again. So yeah, Donald Trump do have some followers in other country and yeah, I'm wondering why. Anyway, we'll take one short break. When we return, we'll talk about the economic and social-cultural side of Southeast Asia.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene and you're back with me again. So, on the economic side, we are going to focus on China. So, China's central bank governor says yuan has stabilized against the dollar. The China central bank governor told a meeting of the G20 that China's currency has stabilized against the dollar after the country's surprise announcement in August to reevaluate its yuan amid stock of market turmoil. Also at the G20 meeting, Finance Minister Luo Jiwei tried to diffuse concern about the slowdown in Chinese economic activity, saying Beijing is not especially concerned about short-term fluctuations and will stick to its reform plan. The ruling Communist Party is in the midst of a marathon effort to encourage domestic consumption and reduce reliance on trade and investment to drive growth. It has promised to give market forces a bigger role in the state-dominated country. And of course, let's just see whether the yuan will somehow be able to move on smoothly and be stabilized, and not just promises by the Chinese central bank governor. And of course, what we are seeing right now is China's economy is getting a bit on the slowdown, but of course they are saying that it's a short-term thing. Hopefully it is. On the other hand, let's focus now on Southeast Asia. For those who are studying in Southeast Asia, they should go to the village and not internet cafes. So field work is key to capturing complexities, fast-changing realities in Southeast Asia. While appreciation of ASEAN may have increased among the younger generation, some even identify themselves as Southeast Asian citizens, though that category does not even exist at all. One wonders to what extent people in this region actually know each other, at least to the point of being able to make claims of knowledge that are founded on real first-hand experience. So for scholars working on Southeast Asia and other parts of the world, the difficulties faced today are compounded by developments worldwide. Hence, fieldwork which draws upon the face-to-face encounter between the scholars and the subject of his study reminds society that the social science lays more emphasis on human agency, and that in the study of states, societies, and even international bodies and multinational regional groups it is the human being that matters. So there you go. For anyone that is interested in ASEAN, you have to go to the village, have to meet face to face, and do field work with people on the ground. Talking about people on the ground, well, I'm sure you guys have heard about hipster. Unfortunately, in Malaysia, well, according to this one newspaper, that hipster is dead. And there's a huge rise of this new group of subcultures called yuccie. Contrary to all appearances, the whole hipster thing is definitely over. The idea of that, the image of this person with a roll-up jeans, old school glasses, vintage accessories in cafes, is unfortunately not as hip as it used to be, because once a subculture becomes mainstream, it really loses its meaning. So what's next? Introducing yuccie, a term coined by self-proclaimed yuccie David Infante, a US-based writer who wrote on Mashable that yuccies are young urban creatives, essentially the cultural offsprings of yuppies who care about success, and hipsters who unlike hipsters who prioritize creativity and individualism. Basically, someone who would, for example, Nora Ismail, 29 years old, would left a salaried copywriting job in the advertising industry after 6 years to start a home baking business called Saya Bake in December 2013. So if I were put it in a different term, it would be, yuccie will be probably young entrepreneurs who wants to do their own business, creative business, not just, look hippie or be a hipster, but actually make money out of it, I suppose. Well, that's all from me today. Thanks for listening to my commentaries on Southeast Asian news. And all the best for your day today. And have a great day. Don't forget to listen to us at durianasian.com on a daily basis. You can also listen it on the go by downloading our app called Durian ASEAN. You can buy it you can download it in any app store. And of course, catch up with us on all our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have a great day.